Hal here, and I just want to take a minute to talk a little bit about Onyx. Been using it now for about a year, deer hunting, moose hunting, turkey hunting, all of that, and really come to really like it. I like the satellite imagery mainly because I can locate hidden fields, for turkey hunting, the bogs for moose hunting. You can tell the different stage of cuts up here in the big woods for deer, whether it's clear cuts, select cuts, see the skid roads, and it's really a big help I found coming out at night. It's can really tell you like the easiest way to get out, if you got a couple miles, a couple hours to walk out. And so anyways, got the app on my phone, got the chip in my GPS, and I'm good to go. So not only that, it's used by 4,600 game wardens across the country, which is pretty incredible, and Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service, wildlife biologists, and all that. They all use it, so I guess it's something you ought to be using too. So anyways, go to onx.com and you punch in the promo code BWB, and you're going to get a 20% discount. Good hunting.
This is the Big Woods Bucks podcast. Come explore the big woods and timber in North America with your host, Maine master guide and deer tracking expert Hal Blood. Listen to Hal and co-hosts Lee Libby and Joe Cruzy as they unlock the secrets of big woods whitetails. Each episode will provide valuable insights into the tried and true system Hal has used for the last 40 years to scout, locate, and hunt mature big woods bucks. Listen and laugh as the crew discusses Hal's legendary adventures and learn how to apply a lifetime's worth of lessons from the big woods to your own hunting and outdoor adventures.
Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood, sitting over here in Rangeley again because we can't get Lee out of here. Yep. And with Lee.
Howdy.
And Joe.
Hello.
My carpool partner. And this week our guest is Scott Lago from southern New Hampshire. He's a big snowboarder and Olympic medalist in that sport. And getting into the sport of big woods deer hunting, right, Scott?
Yes, sir.
How long you been up at it?
I've been tracking for 4 years now,
4 years.
I've been hunting since I've been a little kid.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different ball game, down in southern New Hampshire.
Oh yeah,
as you know.
Yep. That's why I don't go there.
Right.
You probably don't anymore now that you're.
Well, I keep my eye on the weather, and the first sign of snow that I see, I'm ready to go because I love it. I didn't think I was gonna love it, because I was so content hunting back home.
Yeah. And
I still love hunting back home. I'm big into archery. I hunt, waterfowl, turkey. When the snow starts to fly, I got my eye on the weather, and then I'll make the rally up and start my northern adventure. I love it.
So you got the bug.
I have the bug big time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you agree with my statement? You either love it or you hate it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see anyone hating it, so I love it. I mean, absolute love it. I mean, it's the biggest adventure for me. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it's such an adventure for me. Like, adventure is just the perfect word for it because you never know what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
And there's also, in my eyes, no better way to kill a big buck if you have the knowledge, the skill set, the motivation, the drive, and maybe the patience to work out the track when it gets tricky. So like just being behind a giant buck, and it sounds simple enough. You follow it until you see it and shoot it. You know what I mean? It never works like that, but in theory, that's how it could be done.
Yeah, when you're following that track, you're always imagining what it might look like. Huh?
Totally. Yeah.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was it specifically, tracking, I guess if you're in the hunting world and you live in the Northeast, tracking kind of speaks to you and you see it around and stuff. But what was it? Did you read an article or anything? Or
it was actually a friend of mine who's been tracking up north for since he's been a little kid. He lives down in the southern part of the state, and he's a great deer hunter. It's like there's so mmany deer hunters that are so great who are just ghost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wishing
he's
we
one of those
would
guys,
stop talking about it.
So he got introduced to tracking and does very well, every year, and does awesome back home. He was the first. He killed 3 200-pounders in southern New Hampshire in 1 year. Archery opening day. With his muzzleloader and then shotgun. So it's like I didn't even know that was possible. So I was like, all right, I got to buddy up with this guy. And learn from him. And one of the best deer hunters that I knew back home, he was claiming that he was the best. So I'm like, all right, I kind of want to follow this dude around, And he's like, I track up in northern Maine, and he told me as much as he could, but there's only so much you can learn until you go out and experience, So he's like, he put me onto your books, Hal, and into the podcast. So I just read your books and listened to the podcast religiously, and then I just sent it. It's so much fun.
You think probably the reading and stuff probably shortened the learning curve a little bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
That's why I wrote those books, because I knew I struggled so hard in the beginning to try to figure it all out when I was, younger than you, I mean, I was 23, I think, my first trip up north, and I'm like, holy smokes, this is different than hunting down in southern Maine,
Right.
I struggled a lot trying to get it figured out, so I figured I might be able to help shorten other people's learning curve anyway,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. And Jason DePlaza was kind of another example of it too, where he read the book, and it doesn't always happen like that for sure, where you read a book and come up and shoot a buck. But some guys that are determined, and
right.
You've obviously have a competitive spirit and a lot of drive, so that's important for the not necessarily competitive, but the drive to push yourself. And
totally. I think like on a good track, I think you're pushed on so many levels. Like, I mean, physically, because you're walking so much, so much more than I ever thought you would walk. That was my biggest learning curve too. Mentally, like when you lose the track, trying to pick back up the track, you're running out of sunlight. And for me too, as well as like, the getting lost factor was a pretty serious thing. It's like, all right, so I'm just parking my truck here and then setting my GPS and literally just taking off for miles, having no clue, where you're going or, your whereabouts of the area, right. Was a little challenging for me, but also that was part of the adventure too. And so there's just, I don't know,
What area of Maine
do
you hunt?
Like Oakfield, Smyrna area, but I'll bounce around, honestly, wherever there's snow. We'll kind of base out of there, and we'll bounce around, I head up north to like the Allagash and stuff. Just kind of bounce around and wherever there's good snow. And that's the beautiful thing about Maine too, right? It's awesome. We're so unique in that way. I say we're because New Hampshire has the same rules as far as posted land and stuff like that. It's just beautiful. I mean, like you never run into a posted sign, pretty much majority of the land is open to, to public to hunt, and
yeah, we talked about
cool.
that on the last podcast that Maine is unique that way, in New Hampshire too, that, it's mostly private land, but you can still go,
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, majority of the land is pretty much owned by the paper companies, right?
Yeah, our timber companies now.
Timber companies,
more.
okay, yeah.
Not too much paper companies now, but some paper company, timber companies, yeah.
Right.
And it's always been that kind of open use policy, and
right.
Works good.
Have you killed one tracking yet?
Yeah, I've killed. I killed 2 the last 2 years.
Nice.
So I think I've got it figured out, but I don't know.
You didn't see the picture. You didn't see the picture of the buck he killed last year?
No.
Was that last year?
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I killed it.
That's what dreams are made of. That buck.
Wow.
That is just a.
Yeah.
And also, we probably will let Chris make the decision. We probably ought to use that picture for the on social media for this podcast because I love the picture.
Nice.
He's just. You're
story
excited.
Behind it. I mean, it's just
joy.
Oh,
I'm really excited to hear
it. Excited. It wasn't even the word. I mean, there's been it's kind of, I wasn't sure if I was going to share this or not, but there's been 3 times where I've broke down and started to cry because I was so happy. One was the Olympics, and the other 2 were from the 2 deer that I killed tracking. And I'm not joking. That's no joke. Because
I thought you was going to say when you got married.
Actually, you know what? That was the 4th.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I had one more, 5th too, for my son.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ryder.
Yeah.
Awesome, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's something. I mean, when it happens, it's just, especially on some. I mean, that's what was it? 246.
Yeah, 246.
246, big, wide, heavy rack.
It didn't look like he had lost an ounce of weight. I mean, you guys, live in a whole different area, but I've never seen a deer, of that caliber. I didn't even know they made him that big. You know what I mean? I walked up to it. I'm like, there was obviously no question it was a 200-pound deer, which is my goal. I looked at him like, that's a 300-pound deer,
Yeah.
It looked like a cow, its chest was so long and so like its legs looked miniature.
Yeah.
And its legs literally looked like it was a foot and a half long, and you could see it in the track. I mean, funny story is, but I'll tell you, like, I ended up finding his track. You could see his chest. That's what I ended up seeing, is his chest dragging in the snow. It's a deeper snow, but that's what I was like, oh, wait, what the heck is this? You just see his huge barrel chest in the snow.
Really
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But it's a very unique and weird story. But
Yeah, we got to hear
we
it,
can get
though.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get right into that.
All right. Yeah. So
I wanted to talk Olympics. We're here to
We're
talk
gonna
snowboard today,
We're
aren't
going
we?
to talk snowmobiling later. But if we let
We'll
Hal
touch on
have
it
his
all.
hunting story first.
Although this is, I feel like, I'm a hardcore listener of the Big Woods Bucks podcast, and I feel like this is the type of podcast where Hal starts to get hungry. This gets around lunchtime, so these tend to be a little bit shorter. So maybe a wife can come in and get some snacks, so we can go extended podcast here.
We'll go as long as you want. How's
Right.
that? We won't let Joe usually cuts us off. That's the secret thing. Joe's always going, trying
5 more
to
minutes.
cut it short.
That's a lie. All right, let's hear this story.
All right, so Thanksgiving morning of last year, snowing really hard, and it was pretty windy. They say a deer killing day. I was all excited. So I went out, struck out, found a track, and it wasn't anything that I was really excited about. I knew it was a buck, or at least I thought it was a buck. I think I've definitely tracked does before. Actually, I know I have. But, I thought it was a buck, but I wasn't that excited about it. But, hey, it was a track, and I was in the woods and whatever. So I was chasing it. I ended up jumping it once, and I got eyes on it. It was a smaller buck. And so I waited about 30 minutes or so and, had my sandwich. And then, started tracking again. And right away, I jumped him again. He was behind a blowdown, and I'm like, oh geez, all right, well, I'll wait some more, So this time I waited 45 minutes, which seemed like frigging an hour, hours, and caught up to him again, jumped him again. He was still in his backtrack, still waiting for me, like 45 minutes later.
Still standing there?
Yeah, which is totally surprising. I did that one more time. He wasn't going that far, but he was, every time he would go from a run to a trot to a walk to stop in his backtrack behind a blowdown.
Pushed him. Once you go on them the second time and jump them the second time, they're always looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the waiting is only the first time. That's when they might lay down. And
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So the gig was up. He knew he was being followed. And anyways, there was at one point where I was still didn't have a great look at him. But there was one point where he was on a full out run and went in between these 2 decently sized trees. Like, he wasn't going to bend him over with his antlers, and they weren't that far apart. I'm like, oh geez. I'm like, this is a small rack deer, it definitely not outside his ears, I don't know how he would get his body through it. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I still stayed on it. So I'm following this buck, and it ends up going into this cedar swamp, this white cedar swamp. And I come across, so it just stopped snowing, maybe like 30 minutes or 40 minutes prior or whatever. And I come across these boot tracks, and I'm looking down, and I kick kick the snow out, and I see that there's blood in the trail. I'm like, oh, no way. I'm like, these guys shot a deer, and are tracking it right now, So my deer that I was tracking ended up going down their track, which is pretty damn rare. I mean, like, to run across another set of, tracks, or let alone someone's deer that they're tracking, So I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So I started tracking their footprints. I was going to go and see if, just check the deer out, you know what I mean? Or see if they needed a hand or whatever. So I started tracking these guys. My deer ended up splitting off, and I wasn't that excited about it anyway. So I was more curious about, this buck that these guys had shot, and started following the tracks for a while. And while I'm tracking, I'm whistling, because these guys have a wounded deer possibly, and I'm going through some like thicker stuff, getting into some real, literally.
Traveling through the woods.
Exactly. I'm walking, I'm going, walking some more every 60 yards or so, I'd, whistle. And then I came across, and I've been going at this, this deer that they had was bleeding for a long time. I'm surprised they hadn't caught up to it yet. Or I hadn't caught up to them with a down deer. So on my way, still on their track, I noticed this giant track. I mean, giant track cross over their blood trail, and I'm like, oh my God! You could see the barrel chest on the deer. I mean, the deer literally looked like it had foot-long legs, the huge chest. And you could see that in the snow. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to check this. I got to check this out, So I stepped off, literally made it about maybe 10 yards off their track, and I hear, and right away I'm like, geez, that was a friggin' good sounding grunt. So I go, and I'm like, but half suspecting that it was a deer, half suspecting that it was the guys, the guys who were just on the track, and I didn't want to get shot, So I let out this whistle, turned slowly off to my left, and I just see this giant deer walking through the swamp with his huge rack, walking right at me. He had to have thought that I was another deer, in his little home range there, and he literally walked right up to me about 15 yards away, and that's no exaggeration, maybe even closer, maybe 10 yards away. And he had looked over at me, and I'd had my gun up at that point, but I didn't have a clear shot at his vitals. And I just saw half his rack. I knew that it was, a deer that I was going to shoot. Finally, he looked the other way, got my bead on him, and put one right behind his shoulder, and unloaded all my bullets at him, until I was absolutely empty. Turns out I ended up only hitting him once because, I'm a bad shot, I guess, but it was that first shot. Thank God. And yeah, that's the story. He ended up dying about 50 yards away, walked up to him, and I just couldn't believe how big he was. And it was a dream buck of mine. It's honestly like a deer that I kind of dreamed of. And I don't know if I'll ever get so lucky again, but hey, I'll take it.
So you were on the track for 5 minutes?
Maybe 10 seconds.
Wow.
About 10 seconds.
That was a good grunt you did, by the way, too. That was impressive.
It sounds a lot better with the headphones on. That's why I kept going, Yeah.
So that's what you call 2 points connecting.
Exactly.
Because everything was right for the timing. You cut that track at the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were 2 minutes, 5 minutes earlier, you'd have walked right by that track.
Right. So that deer was bedded down 30 yards away. He was in his bed. When I walked up, he had to have heard me. So I backtracked him from where I shot him, and he was bedded down literally like 20 yards away. So I guarantee you that he heard me walking, and maybe when I whistled, I don't know, maybe he was stepping or stepping through brush or whatever. That's the part
I don't understand is it then when you whistled, that must have sounded like something different to him. But
I know. I can't explain it either. I don't know.
New chapter for your book.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Whistle while you hunt.
A whistle buck, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I know you name all your bucks. Maybe I don't, but maybe I'll call him the whistle buck.
Yeah.
So I want to go back in a minute to after you shot him, but did you ever find out what the story was on the other guys?
No, yes, I did. They didn't end up finding him, or I don't know. It was a father and son, I think, but they didn't end up finding the deer. So I'm not really sure. Which I'm surprised because there was a ton of blood And I didn't keep going on the track, so I just obviously stayed there. And then I was running out of cell phone cell phone battery, so I ended up using that, getting a hold of my buddy, and then he went to go get help. Got a couple big logger dudes to help drag the thing out because I was going about a foot at a time.
How far in the woods were you?
Not too far. He ended up being maybe another like 300 yards from some train tracks. So once we get out on the train tracks, then it was easy going from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't too bad. And the one I shot year before that ended up dying about 300 yards from another logging road too. Super far away from my truck, but not too far from a logging road. I lucked out.
Yeah, you're going to pay for one.
I know,
of these
right?
days.
I know. I know. I will. I've helped drag a couple good ones from my friends, and it was a mission.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I got the story messed up, and I don't know where it came from, but for some reason I thought this buck track, the big one, was like a long tracking job, like over 100 miles or something, and back day after day. I don't know where I had heard that or.
Oh, I have it on my story, on my Instagram story. That was just like a cumulative,
Oh, okay.
hours tracked,
Gotcha.
throughout my whole trip, because
Gotcha.
I was going to spend. I think I went up there maybe on the 11th.
Yep.
That was the 25th. I dropped back home for a little bit and stayed up there. So I was on a bunch of buck tracks.
Gotcha.
Throughout the whole trip, but never had an opportunity until the luckiest.
So you
until
kept
the luckiest
at it.
moment.
You
Totally.
How many miles did you say you had on that week?
I did over 100
Yep.
miles, and I'd never walked so far. Like, I was determined. It was tough hunting. It was tough hunting last year. It really was. Up in our area, it was crusty, super crusty. It was hard to read the tracks, and it was also hard to sneak up on them.
The third week was the worst over our way. We had the crust, and then we got some snow on it. Thanksgiving week, beginning of the week too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first day of Thanksgiving week, we had got, places a foot of powder, but other places 6 inches or something, but that quieted it down somewhat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But you didn't get that over there?
No, not really.
Yeah.
We had, whatever. It would. I think it was kind of freezing up overnight, or we would get a little bit of rain, and kind of mess it up.
Yeah.
Not that high elevation. So we're looking for high elevations. Definitely flatter land where I've been hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the mileage thing. As far as putting in, I think we look back, and of course it's a little bit different for us if we're guiding or whatever. But I think I figured I was over 200 miles last season walking during deer season.
Wow.
And it's it's and then you can walk in. That could have been your first day going in, and you cross the track, and
totally.
It's just the way it goes.
It can happen like that.
Yeah, it can.
It can. I mean, I've had just as a weird situation happen in Pittsburgh. I'd killed a buck up on this ridge, and while I was dragging it down, I just had my OnX out, and dropped a pin, found the road, whatever the closest logging road, and made a straight line for the road. While I'm dragging it down, I hadn't seen another hunter in like a few days. While I'm dragging it down, I come across another guy's drag mark. I literally run into his drag mark. He had killed it maybe an hour before me, and I took his drag mark down the mountain right to the road, and I put my deer where he had put his deer, and it was the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, what?
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Sounds like Portage Brook.
I think Portage Brook is going to get a mention in every podcast now, isn't it? You keep your buddies here all happy.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that.
It's
happy
usually
about
Hal
it.
that gives up the spots, but now lately you've been doing good at it.
Yeah.
What do you mean,
You guys don't have pressure, though. I mean, you'll run into you guys will run into tracks now and then, but I mean, it's not like hunting around my area. It's like I used to map out the tree stands, right, like all around the area, just to kind of see, like, all right, if I was a big buck, where would be the best chance of me surviving? It's like looking at it from afar and on X, you're like, this for a deer to live, it would have to run the gauntlet, like 20, 30 tree stands. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
That's why they just go at night.
totally. Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, it's Hal here. I want to talk to you about a new partnership we have with Yokohama Tires. And at Big Woods Bucks, we don't take our partnerships lightly. We focus on things that we can use and can believe in and trust. And I've been running a set of the Yokohama Geolander MTs for about a month now. And over the years, we've had a lot of trouble in the woods, with gravel roads, shale roads, and flat tires and stuff. And so I tried these tires out on a moose hunt, and they worked fabulous. I had no problems with them, and still testing them. But the thing I like, too, is I made a trip to New York, and they're for a mud tire, they're extremely quiet on the road. Probably the most quiet ones I've had for an aggressive tread tire. And so we're going to keep at testing them here, but I think they're going to be the ticket. I've used dozens of different tires over the years, and these look like they're going to be the ticket. So anyways, the tires are made right here in the USA, down in Virginia. All the light tires, light truck and car tires. There's like 51 sizes available. And they also have a Geolander XAT as a new tire that it's a little less aggressive, like more of an all-season radial. So anyways, check out their website, Yokohama Tire, and see if it's something you can use. Hey, Hal here. Just want to take a minute to talk about the hunting club. And you can join by going right online at bigwoodsbucks.com. But anyways, I've got all my information is going in there. And it's a place where you can get together and look at my films, tips, writings, and all of that. And the best part is there's forums for you to communicate with, the rest of the club members, talk about Big Wood stuff and all of that. So anyways, $36 a year, cheaper than getting a Starbucks once a day. So join up, and hope you see you on there.
The first deer you killed, that was you said you got two 200-pounders?
Yeah, yep. The first one I killed was kind of my proudest tracking moment, because it had put me through the ringer out of everything that I feel like a track can kind of give you, Believe it or not, it was the only track that I saw that day while I was tracking. I didn't cut another deer track in the woods, and I took it, I think.
That's the best kind. You'll get screwed up.
Right, totally.
It's easy.
But it's amazing. Sometimes, I don't know, for me, sometimes they can just disappear if they're the only ones. I've had that happen before. I'm like, where could this one track go? It'll either hop way to the left or backtrack a little bit or whatever, depending on the snow. But so anyway, so I had followed this deer maybe 5-6 miles, and I was coming up, it scraped and made a rub, and it was coming up on this knoll, and I just had this sense. I was kind of power walking it the whole time. It wasn't giving me any indication that it was going to bed down, but it got up to this knoll, and it made a scrape and a rub, and I just had this sense that it was bedded somewhere close. So I started doing a super stock, one step at a time, looking super hard, and I pinned this little area where I thought he might be bedded, and sure enough, he actually was bedded there. I never saw him get up. I never heard him, but he was there, and I had jump tracks, out of the bed, either saw me before, or he smelled me. So I hate that feeling when you come up to a bed and you get running tracks out of it. You're like, damn it, the gig's up.
Yep.
So anyways, running tracks out of there. And I don't know if this deer was tired or not, but he didn't go far at all. Maybe he had heard me, but after I jumped him the first time, he went maybe 300 yards and bedded down again. And it was a really windy day. And it was cold, and super windy. So he'd bedded down. So the first spot he was bedded in some firs, like kind of under like a spruce tree or anything like that, just kind of getting a break from the wind, In the second spot, the same thing. I jumped him up again, and he jumped right in front of me. And if I had buckshot, I probably would have killed him. He was right in front of me. I took a shouldered shot with my rifle, and then off he disappeared into the pines. And so I waited there for a while, waited another 30 minutes, and then I finally got a glimpse of him the next time I jumped him, and he got a glimpse of me. And they always look way bigger from the back too. When he's running off, he was running through the open hardwoods, and I'm just like, my jaw dropped. I got my gun out, but I also couldn't stop looking at his rack. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm going to stay with this deer all day until the sun goes down, But that time he decided to run cross country and really try to beat me. He went into moose tracks, ran down moose tracks, and is that what they do? Do they do that for a reason? Like run through moose beds? I feel like they do that a lot. Do you notice that?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's a trick they try to pull.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll go right by some moose, and then they'll go lay on the other side. So when the moose spook, they know something's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They do that a lot.
Yeah, many times they'll go down other tracks, either moose tracks or deer tracks.
Right. So he pulled all the tricks. He did a back track for a little bit. But anyway, so he took off for like 2 miles. But the positive thing is he started looping back to my truck. So there was a nice positive for me. I was like, all right, I'm staying with this deer.
Direction.
It's heading in the right direction, which never happens. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, I'm just going to, stay on this deer, because I got eyes on him. And I was like, damn, I really want to kill this deer. So again, I'm walking finally, I'm still power walking on him. And then I stopped because I noticed that this deer had started backtracking again. I don't see his tracks out front, and I look down and then, his tracks are coming back this way. So I just stopped right there. And I'm like, and I peered off to my right and I see some Christmas trees, some spruce trees. And I'm like, oh, there's a real good chance that he might be bedded there. Maybe he, stopped, looked under those trees and be like, all right, this is a good spot to bed. And sure enough, he was. I turned off to my right, and I just see him get up from his bed. Stood up, put my gun on him, and I almost just snapped the trigger right away. And I'm like, whoa, cool down. And I, found a spot of brown and touched off, and ended up being his neck. Dropped him right there, and ran up to him, and then put one more, in his vitals, and then that was it. But it was an unbelievable hunt. It was challenging in every which way. So I was pumped. It was cool for me. That was my first track job, first big woods buck. So I'll never forget that.
No, never will.
Cool.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Yep.
How big was that?
that was 209.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and he had a good rack on him too.
Yeah.
I was pumped.
You're off to a good start, Scott.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome. You were talking about something earlier before we started. The snowboard world that you're in
Yeah.
is a lot different than the hunting world that you also love to do, and
Totally.
there's not a lot of crossover. It seems.
No, there's really no crossover. There's a few snowboarders, or for you professionals who hunt, but it's two totally different worlds. I'd say if anything, there's one thing that, is in common is that both parties have respect for the wilderness. It's like you'll never see any litter, or any garbage in the mountains, you know what I mean? It's just part of the culture, the mountain culture and but yeah, it's two totally different worlds as anyone would totally imagine.
Did you grow up hunting? I mean, since you were young?
Yeah. I grew up hunting. Yeah. Yep. Bow hunting. And then, we get to hunt shotguns around our area, and I would just hunt locally, around my town, surrounding towns. And I still do the same thing, I'll still hunt locally. I honestly enjoy it just as much as if I were on a Western hunt, hunting big deer in Kansas or Iowa or anything like that. It's more challenging, so it's all relative, and I'm not, obviously I want to kill the biggest buck I can, but I have done a few hunts where it's like been on a, guided hunt. It's like the deer out there are just completely different. They'll be out in the middle of a field, like giant bucks. I'm just like, you would never ever see this back home.
Where is that?
I did a hunt in Oklahoma, right on the border of Kansas, and I ended up killing like a pretty darn big buck out there with my bow. Came in downwind, looked at me in the tree stand, went bug-eyed, and then went back to feeding. It's like you'd never see that, and then I ended up shooting him about 15 yards away. So, but I've done hunting in Wyoming as well for mule deer, and it's just a different world.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But everywhere is, it's like you drive, I'm in southern New Hampshire, you drive, whatever, 4 or 5 hours north, and you're in a whole different world.
Yep.
Yep.
With whole different tactics,
Yeah, well, maybe some of them snowboarders, if they're listening to this, maybe they'll
How
take up
many
the challenge.
snowboarders? How many snowboarders do you think are listening to this?
They would. I
bet
bet.
you,
I bet
yeah.
a lot of them.
I
As soon as
bet
he
you.
puts it on Instagram, that he's on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of hunters out there who snowboard and boarders who hunt.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Now, you're still in the snowboarding business, correct?
yeah, yep. I have my own company. I sell snowboards, Lago snowboards,
Yep.
appropriately named. So I'm not doing it professionally anymore. I've been competing and doing it professionally since I've been 16 and traveled all over the place. Did all events from the Olympics to Grand Prix to do tours to U.S. Opens to X Games. I did a little stint there. I judged X Games for a little bit, and so I started my own company making snowboards, and it's going well. We just do all online, keep it very simple. LagoSnowboards.com. So if you guys want to support a hunter and you're a snowboarder out there, you guys know where to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've been
Good
looking
plug.
for something to replace my Burton 7.8.
Yeah, that's right. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
6'3". Yeah,
6'3",
You
250.
do need it. Yeah, you do need a bigger board, but
Yeah.
178 might be. That's a cannon.
I'm just glad we know how to pronounce your last name now because I think
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
Dude, my agent for like 8 years was still calling me Lago. It's all good. I don't even bat an eye at it anymore. I don't even notice it.
yeah. So where were the Olympics at that you medaled in?
I medaled in the 2010 Vancouver Olympics.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I got a bronze medal.
Yeah.
for
That's an awesome
half pipe.
city.
Yeah, totally.
Vancouver's a
Yep.
cool place.
The Olympics must be quite an event, really,
It
to
sure
participate
is.
in, especially.
It's
I like
unbelievable.
to watch it. So
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I mean, like this, I consider myself a patriot, and since I've been a little kid, I've always wanted to go to the Olympics. And, my main goal going into that year was just to make the team, because U.S. has, stacked team, as far as half pipe riders, and it's really hard to make a team. You only take 4. But really, there's 20 people that are eligible, So my goal was just to make the team, and then and ended up putting it down during my run at the Olympics, and ended up getting a bronze medal. So it was really cool. There's you get so much gear, when you're at the Olympics, and everything's USA, so I'm just like so proud to like run my USA vest, you know what I mean? There's like behind the scenes, there's like a bunch of, it's like a bunch of like USA chants, and like Rush will have their chant, and it's just kind of cool, you feel pretty patriotic during the Olympics, and I was proud to represent USA.
Was it your teammates that were on the stand next to you, or was it?
I had one teammate, yep, Sean White. He ended up getting a gold medal.
Yeah.
And then it was Finland in second. But he's also one of my good friends too, because we've been competing together for years. His name was Pitu Peronen from Finland.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. What an experience that must be to
Totally.
be part of that whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah, you was telling me when we talked the first time that you've broken a few bones doing that, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, geez, I'm littered with bone. I have about like 33 broken bones.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's no joke, and they're all pretty much from all separate accidents. That's kind of the name of the game, right? It's like trying to stay healthy to like, you can go as hard as you want and be as motivated as you want, but you have to run that line between, staying healthy, but also pushing yourself. It's like this very fine line, and you're gonna get banged up. That's part of it, But yeah, I mean, I've broken my collarbone, both my wrists, my arm, bones in my hands, my neck, my my nose, my jaw, my teeth. It goes down the list.
Sounds
But-
like you landed on your head a bunch of times,
Yeah.
Scotty.
So
What's the snowboard joke that I heard the other day? It was would the snowboarder get on his IQ test? Drool. You got drool.
So when you get older, all that's going to come back and haunt you,
Dude, it's haunting me now.
Is it?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I am 32, I think.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in big trouble.
I hope you enjoyed that bronze.
Yeah, right. Yep.
The good news is you shouldn't break too many bones deer hunting.
Exactly. No, yeah, it's something that, you don't got to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you also said you like to ride uphill some too?
Yeah, I love the sled.
Snowboard.
Yeah,
Here
snowmobile.
we
Here we go, Al.
It's a. We'll touch on that real quick because I know Lee loves the sled. I mean, I've been into snowmobiling since I've been a kid. My dad used to race professionally ice oval. He used to race for Arctic Cat. And I think at one point he got third at the World Championships or whatever. So I was kind of always into it. But we use that for our transportation up in the mountains. When we're filming in the backcountry, either doing lines or building jumps in the powder. We'll shuttle each other. So you get pretty handy on it, and it's. I mean, honestly, sometimes it's more fun than snowboarding, like going up and just
all the
ripping.
time. It's more.
I was going to talk to you about that, Lee. I'm like, you need to make a trip out west. And
So
and
I've been
shred it.
to Colorado twice, and I went to Whistler last year.
Oh, nice. All
And,
right.
it was neat out there because there was a lot of those snowboarders, and they were shuttling each other around.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We got to watch that, and
Guarantee I know them.
well, they probably told you the story then. There's some asshole on a sled ripping up this hill, and I looked down, and there's cameras set up everywhere, and they're going like this, and I'm like,
Oh, my
cool,
God.
I'm on TV.
Oh, my God. I think I actually did hear this story. You side-hilled their landing, didn't you? You did. I'm not even joking. I actually did hear that story.
Well,
But
it's like
that's funny.
halfway through it, I'm like, I realized what was going on,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, I cannot. This has to be epic. This has to be epic.
Lee is universally hated.
All right, we're gonna look up the footage. I think someone probably has it on film. What do you drive for a sled? What do you?
Wow,
have for a
we
sled
were
out
on
there?
Polaris's then, but no, there was a big setup in one spot, but there was several places where they would go in and get set up, and then the cameras would just wait, and then these guys would literally make these huge drops.
Yeah.
And just like come out of the sky, and you're like, holy shit. I don't know at what age I would have ever done it. Probably never.
No.
But they were some pretty radical drops, and you
Yeah.
see them on TV and you think, well, that's a long ways. But then you're parked on a snowmobile watching these people do it, and you're like, that had to hurt. It had to hurt when they hit, you know. But they were jumping trails. I mean, off these cliffs. Like, you drive up through BC, and there's, like, literally 75-foot cliffs on one side. And these guys would come right off in that, clear the trail, and land on a slope on the other side. And I'm sure a lot of thought went into that,
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, no, we call those like cat track gaps. Airing over the cat track. Or whatever. It's usually kind of on a switchback. Where it turns. But it's got to be the right situation. You got to have enough speed. A good landing zone. It can't be a terrain trap for avalanches. In the landing, or if it is, then you got to make sure that it's rock solid. Dig a pit. So there is a lot to it.
You must have been a part of a lot of.
Make sure you keep the snowmobilers off your landing. You know what I mean?
Now you can report back. Do you know
Yeah,
who you
right.
found the culprit?
yeah.
You must have been a part of a lot of videos and production and stuff through those years. Then.
Yep. I kind of went back and forth between filming like snowboard video parts and competing. I love to film. I feel like that's kind of where I shined or whatever. So if you want to check out some of my stuff, I think like maybe the Art of Flight movie would be kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen any of the snowboard movies or anything like that, but that's kind of a cool one. That one kind of reaches out to the general public a little bit. It's pretty it's pretty
I'll
next
have to
level
watch
as far as
Yeah, you showed me
For
a few of those.
cinematography.
They're pretty interesting.
Yeah.
cool.
I was thinking, you want to film any deer hunts? If you got,
Yeah, that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I do.
Chris said he's looking for photographers, videographers.
So where are we going out west?
I would suggest I don't know, Wyoming, epic. In and around the Jackson Hole area. Utah has some awesome sledding. Even California, like Sonora Pass is pretty cool. I mean, it's just unlimited. But if you want like guaranteed good snow up in BC, I mean,
that
BC
was
just
crazy.
gets hammered.
It was
and-
crazy good.
Yeah, and it stays good. They just keep getting snow and snow.
Get out of the hot tub at 7:30 in the morning with your coffee. Eat breakfast. It's 55 degrees. Drive 35 minutes and be in more snow
Then you know what to do.
than you know what to do with.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And the elevation is low, so you got 100% power out of your sled.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy. Crazy. Spruce trees, like 4 feet in diameter, and you're just plowing through them, doing elevators because it's so steep and so much snow that the only way to get down is to literally pray quickly,
Right.
and then drop in.
I've only been out west twice snowmobiling, and it was both times at Togety, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it's I would go back to the same place only because it was so great both times I went. Snow was great, easy to get out and
Right.
get away from everyone. So, but I think it's like every place out there, it's getting more and more popular, and more people heading that way now.
Yeah. My problem with going by myself is the Avalanche. I was out there not last year, the year before with Chris Morant, and we were going to stay, and I had my own sled, and me and another buddy were just going to take off and go, and he's like, dude, stay here. I got a bed for you. You can't just be running around the countryside. Like, that was the year of Avalanche. It was crazy bad. And so we ended up not jumping around too much. We hit it out early. But, yeah, that's my only fear because I've seen it.
I mean, it's good to have, fear for that because it's serious.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had any issues with avalanches while snowboarding?
Yeah. I've never been fully buried. Been like kind of partially buried, and set off a lot of avalanches. I have had a lot of good friends die in avalanches, and it happens every year and happens all the time. So it's like if you're in it, doing it all the time, you obviously have a higher chance, So you just got to be on it, and you got to, you got to know the snow conditions. You got to check the snow conditions, and just don't put yourself in a situation where you if you're above over exposed cliff, or a terrain trap, like I was saying earlier, just be aware, and you got to think, all right, if this does go, what's my exit, and if it does go, how big is it going to go? Is it going to rip me through a bunch of trees and rocks and stuff? Because I don't think a lot of people know that that's usually, the main cause of death from an avalanche, would be getting ripped over trees and rocks and stuff like that. And it's the damage caused by going through that stuff, that usually, does you in. But, so yeah, just having respect for it and being knowledgeable, you'll be all right.
Do snowboarders wear the packs at all? I know they're getting bigger with snowmobilers.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The airbags?
Yeah, totally, yeah, airbags. I think I had like the first generation one. I weighed like 50 pounds, so I didn't really run it that much. But, yeah, totally.
So you said, I remember you showed me some of your video. You used to go. Yeah,
because me and Hal, this as a backdrop, we met at a trade show. Where was that?
I think it was the NRA convention.
It was. It was
Dallas, wasn't it?
Yep, totally. So I reached out to you, Hal, on your Facebook. I know you're there, and I think you're leaving the next day. And I was like, dude, I really want to, want to pick your brain, and could I buy you a beer, And you were cool enough to be like, yeah, all right, that's cool, So I really appreciate that. That goes a long ways, and I sure did pick your brain. I sat down. I think we talked for about 45 minutes, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and I appreciate having me on here. I'm just to make it clear, I'm a big fan of the Big Woods Bucks podcast and the crew, and all you boys. So it's cool. It's a pleasure to meet you, Joe and Lee, and put the faces to the names that I've been hearing for a while.
Glad to have you.
You guys do good stuff, and
we appreciate you making the trip up. That was no easy. Came all the way up from southern New Hampshire today, or yesterday, or whenever you came.
I rallied up this morning. I was going to come down last night. I had some friends towing an Airstream, but just didn't really work out. I'm as free as a bird, but the people I was cruising with, they had obligations and they couldn't quite pull it off. But
yeah,
we know how you snowboarders are. You just kind of go with the wind and wherever it takes you.
Yeah, man.
Free bird.
I wish my mind worked that way. Really,
it does, Lee.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be able to do that deer hunting too. When you're tracking, you got to be able to blow with the wind and the snow per se to just if you want to go, and stay on it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So I tell people in the morning, I don't know where I'm going. Everybody says, where you going in the morning? I don't know.
Right, yeah.
I get up in the morning, I get thinking about possibilities, and
right.
Just pick one,
Right.
Yeah. Sooner or later, you'll get lucky and hit the right spot and get the right track on the right day, and you get them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just keep doing it.
Hey, everyone. Hal here. Just wanted to take a minute to talk a minute about the Woodman Arms muzzleloader. We got them all set on the website to build your own or buy your Big Woods Bucks model, either one you want to do. But anyways, we've tested it a lot, and I can honestly say it's the most accurate muzzleloader on the market, best to carry in the Big Woods or anywhere else at 5.5 pounds. You can't go wrong with it. So get on there and check it out.
Hey guys, Joe here. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Lake Parlin Lodge. We're a 4-season lodge located just south of Jackman. We've got cabins, lodge rooms, mini lodge. We're a big snowmobile destination in the winter, full restaurant, bar, all the amenities that you need for your trip. Open obviously through the summer, right on the lake. Kayaks, canoes, all included with the cabin. We also do a lot of weddings, so if you're looking for a destination wedding, we can do a wedding up to 200 people. And, of course, we've got our hunting season, moose season, deer season. So check us out. We're at lakeparlinlodge.com.
I have a couple questions for you guys to get back to buck hunting. Do you think it's possible? I always wondered this. I never would have fathomed it until I started, hunting up north here. But do you think it's possible for a big buck to live his whole life and die of old age without ever seeing a human being?
Yeah, I believe it is.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I totally think so too. I mean, it wasn't until last year where I actually saw hunters in the woods. I'd see footprints, once in a while. It would never really go that far. But
I think it's more often that the buck has seen hunters, but the hunters have never seen the buck. Humans.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a...
Yeah, when you say human being, I'm sure that they all have had some kind of contact with like logging and stuff, because there isn't any place that's not logged.
Right.
But I don't think they associate that with human interaction. You know what I mean?
Right.
To them, that's a food source, really. You know what I mean? Because when they, even like in the fall or something, if they're knocking the trees down, I mean, them deer will get right in at night and feed on those tops, on the buds and stuff. That's the most nutritious. But as far as interaction with hunters, it's rare. A lot of people, they think too much into that. I've talked to a lot of guys that think, that buck knew he was behind me and that buck was trying to throw me. He did this and he did that. And I'm like, no, it's not that. That's what they do because they used to escaping from coyotes and stuff.
Totally.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I have so much respect for him. I ended up tracking a deer for my friend with a shot with a muzzleloader, and it ended up being an all-day mission. I mean, this buck did every trick in the book to try to lose us, and I can't believe how friggin' tough he was. We ended up running out of bullets, literally on the edge of dark, and he finally ran out of gusto. It was just literally at the end of the day, we ended up having to fashion a bayonet from our knife at the end of our freaking gun, to finish him off. It was crazy.
That sounds like a Libby move to me.
Oh, yeah, that could happen. That's real.
Yeah.
Or like Rick swinging at him with his gun.
Baseball bat style.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Yeah. One more question for you boys.
Yep.
Now that I just got you. I've had a lot of opportunity, and I've never ever heard you guys talk about this before, but I've had a lot of opportunity when I've jumped a deer and it's been so close, where if I've had buckshot, I really felt like I could have had an opportunity. Would you guys ever consider that?
Not me.
No. Just because you have, I mean, well, you're you guys are aces with a gun, but
no, it's just limit. I think it limits you. Yeah. I'd feel.
I know.
I'd feel handicapped.
I bring it up every year, right?
Yep.
And I never took it into the woods.
Yeah.
But if I really look at my stats and the bucks that I've either just the two that I've killed or the ones that I've seen and had opportunity, they've all literally been within buckshot range. So I don't know. That's always crossed my mind. I've never actually brought it into the woods.
When you see him at 70 yards, you're going to be kicking yourself.
Exactly, and that's what I have. That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah. I'm like, you're finally. It's going to be one of those days where you catch one actually crossing like a clear cut or something like that, and then you're just sitting there, just like, I'm the biggest idiot ever.
I've seen guys. I bumped into the woods. This was quite a while ago. Bumped into a guy and he was carrying a single shot 20 gauge. But I think that's just because that's the one gun he had.
Totally.
That's all he had. If he had the rifle sitting there, he'd have it. So
right. And
it can certainly be done. He probably had slug in it.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's hunting, tracking is a rifle game.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, you just got to get better at hitting them.
Yep. I need some practice. I need a. You guys have a or either up in Jackman. You guys have a shooting range with a moving target or tires or.
Well, that's what we usually do. Actually, Joel made that rig when we had our Big Woods get-together. Joel had seen
Nice.
it online. He made this rig. It actually worked pretty good. The retrieval system's got to improve a little, though, right? Lee?
Yeah, because they put me at the end of a fishing pole
Yeah.
and said, "Here, reel us in every time we let it go." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
He had a level wind reel to retrieve it back up, you know.
Yeah.
But it was the setup itself was good.
That's
you know?
cool.
It was a running deer on a cable and pulleys, but we've done the toss and the tires and all that stuff, and it does help you. But there's really, I tell you, I ain't that great at doing that stuff.
Yeah, but in the moment you are.
Yeah, because it's, to me, when it ain't something like live game moving the way they move,
Right.
you can't replicate that really.
Right.
You can get your swing down and all of that, but you can't get that up and down motion and the bounce and all
Totally.
that.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing, right? Because that would be so hard to replicate.
The only way, I've said it many a times, to me, the only way to get that is to hunt rabbits. 'Cause
Yeah.
they run the
Okay.
same
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And I grew up doing that from the time I was little, hunting rabbits with beagles, and it's the same thing. You get the swing, you get it all down, and shooting at rabbits. you know?
Nice. Maybe I'll just blank draw on some rabbits this spring. This summer,
Yeah.
to get a little practice.
What do you shoot a 7600?
Yeah. My grandfather actually gave me a 760.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I took that up last year, and I just once they held it, and like I actually had it in my hands, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, this is it carries so well, and it's so short, the barrel's so short, shoulders right, just perfect, goes right up,
Yeah.
But I am experiencing. I'm going to be experimenting with a red dot sight this year that just sits super low. That way I can have both my eyes open. If I have an opportunity at a close shot, I can keep both my eyes open. Judge the animal. You know what I mean? And
Are you left eye dominant or right eye dominant?
I don't know when I close. I guess my right eye.
'Cause that's the problem. I can't shoot with both eyes open because I'm left eye dominant, right-handed. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
always it'd be nice to. I always read about how that's the best way to shoot, but I just
Yeah.
Do you
can't
know?
do it.
Do you think to close your eye when you deer jumps up?
I don't think about it.
I don't. Yeah, can't.
I don't
know if
consciously-
shut
You
my eye
go.
or not.
You go.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. It's got to be just natural.
I
right? You just-
subconsciously do it, and I don't do it until the minute I pull the trigger because I'm following with both eyes. But when I can't shoot with both eyes. I don't know why. I just never could.
Right.
So that right eye just blinks shut for that second I pull the trigger.
Yep. Kapow.
Always done that way. But you're going to find with a red dot you can experience, but you're going to be wiping snow out
I
of
know.
I
But I do
carried a
have.
scope
I
for
can
years.
literally just pop it off too, right? So if I think I'll still have my iron sights on there.
it. Yeah.
I think that it might be a moment where I'm like, all right, I'm over this thing, and I'm over wiping this thing off because I've carried scopes around, you know what I mean, and it's the same deal. But it's so nice carrying the peep sight. You don't have to worry about that. Just use that gun to get through some of the pines that are covered in snow and not even worrying about it.
And hopefully that moment ain't when that buck's standing there or gets up out of
know.
his bed and you pull up and there's snow in your
You
sight.
still have
Right.
to look at that rear receiver, though. I mean, on the peep sight, because that gets full of snow.
Yeah, but you can just blow it right out quick. You ain't got to wipe stuff and make sure it's not fogged and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, it does because if we discussed a lot, I'm a scope guy, and I've developed a way to keep the snow out, but it's much nicer not having that scope. But I just I'm more comfortable with a scope.
Yeah,
on,
yeah, totally.
And I think a lot of guys are. I see a lot of guys that track. They run a
I
low
do.
power scope, and
Yeah, I liked my scope.
that's it.
If I
It
could
would be
get a
nice not to
Leopold-
have to.
If I could get a Leopold sponsorship, I'd put one back on.
All right, big shout out, Leupold. Let's go, Leupold. Lee, I can put you in contact with the people for Leupold, dude. All right.
Are we
Risa, I
doing
know
something
you're
with
listening.
Trigicon?
I haven't seen my scope. Listen, it's like the hat on my head. If you don't give me something, I ain't wearing it.
Yeah.
You want me to use your shit, talk about it, give me something.
Right.
It's like that Big Woods Buck Screw. Is this like the
cringeworthy.
300th free podcast I've done? I need something.
Talk to your agent.
I called Chris the other day. I says, my crotch is worn right out of my wool pants. And he's like, yeah, we got them on sale right now for like $379. I'm like, what?
$379.
Wait a minute.
Maybe Scotty's agent can help you.
Yeah.
I am a horrible negotiator.
Sounds like a pretty good deal, you know. Wear a hat and get friggin' all they need is a hat, something, a T-shirt.
Show me some love.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you boys are hooked up with Onyx. They're amazing.
Yeah,
I
Onyx
use
is,
Onyx
yeah.
all the time. I think I was like the first subscriber, I swear, like 6 years ago.
It's a great tool.
If you guys were to look at my map, you guys would think I'm absolutely crazy because I have so many freaking pins and tracks and markers everywhere. I'll mark like mushrooms and stuff like that too. They pop back.
That's the
next
snowboarder
year,
in you coming out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Magic or non-magic?
No, I don't have the balls to eat non-magic one. I mean, magic ones.
That's
But
cool.
what's your guys' code? You guys throw out there 20% off. For,
yeah, it's
if you use the
promo
Big
code
Woods-
BWB.
Yeah.
promo code
Which,
BWB.
thanks for bringing that up, Scotty, because I often forget that part of it. And I think that's
he
part
would
of what we're supposed to do.
He could take my place because he's much better at promoting.
Yeah, you heard that, Chris, right? Chris edits everything, so
I wish I could talk like a NASCAR driver.
Oh, you guys want me to keep going? We got Onyx, all right? We got Woodman Arms, all right?
Woodman Arms.
We have...
let's see how much you
See?
pay attention.
See, you're running out, aren't you?
Hunt
What kind of tires are on
membership.
Hal's and
Yeah,
I's
what
truck?
kind of tires?
Yokohama tires.
Yokohama
Yokohama tires.
Sponsored
Yeah.
by BF Goodrich.
We might be able to get Lago snowboards.
That's right.
Yeah, what am I
It's
gonna
Lego,
do?
Hal. It's
Lego,
Lego.
yeah, Lego.
All good.
What am I going to do with a snowboard?
Yeah. Well,
I could strap it on my sled so I'd look cool.
Hanging on. Yeah, exactly. Or hanging on your wall is our piece.
You use
Yeah.
it when your sled breaks down way up in the top of the
I
mountain.
ride
That's
a
how you get out.
Polaris. I ride a
I've actually done
Polaris.
that. Well, we've
Don't
done that
break
before.
down.
I've had to get my snowmobile helied out before, out in Alaska. It was just no way. Like it broke like the track. There was literally no way of getting it out. We couldn't tow it out. It was too steep. We tried towing it out, and it's just we got a heli drop. Ended up being like $500.
That's cheap.
yeah,
it was,
is.
but that, we're right in the a big heli skiing operation.
What part of Alaska were you in?
Valdez,
Yeah.
up at like Thompson Pass. We used to spend a lot of time up there. Go up there every year. Do some heli board but it's amazing for snowmobiling too because you can access all kinds of heli drops, with your snowmobile, and it's like the look at clients' face when you're like snowmobile up to the spot they just helied and they just pay the $5,000 to get dropped there and you just sled it up there. They're just like,
I could buy a snowmobile for that.
yeah, right. That's a good spot for snowmobiling too up in AK. We did the mission from Wyoming, left from Jackson Hole, and like 4 days later we made it up there up to Valdez. It was pretty long.
That's a
long
mission.
haul. Yeah, it was a mission. Yeah. It was like driving cross country. It was pretty much equivalent to that. But
Yeah, that Alaska snowmobiling, there's my brother, but there's a crew also, some guys in Maine that have done the Iron Dog a few times, and that's what they all say is once you go out there and see the land out there and how big it is and it's all untouched, it's amazing.
yeah, it is. It really is amazing. Yeah, I see. You lose perspective of how big it is, right? Because you get above Alpine, you know what I mean? You're not seeing any trees, and it's like you're scouting some of the stuff from the helicopter, and you're like, oh, I can go hit that cliff, start here, hit that little cliff there, well, it turns out that little cliff's actually 100 feet, and you're thinking it's like, 10 feet or whatever, and it's like, whoa, that's literally 10 times bigger than I thought it was. Holy this
How far?
huge.
How far are the drops that you do? What's the biggest drop you've done?
I don't know. I mean, it's different, right? So like find the right cliff drop, with a good landing. I don't know. I don't drop really big cliffs. Maybe like, honestly, probably 40 feet. But we do build some huge jumps, where you find a good landing, and then we've spent like 4 days building a jump like a 6-man crew, so we can build some big jumps. And that's obviously on the exception. Usually takes about a full day to build a really good sized jump with usually the filmers pitch in, the photographers, and the riders. And we usually block it out. We'll cut blocks. We'll get down to the layer where it's blockable. Take all the loose snow off, and then dig a big block pit. That way you can stack them up, and then use them to fill. And it's a fun project.
All right, question of the day.
Yes.
You've got a perfect day for snowboarding and a perfect day for tracking deer. Which one are you going?
Oh, tracking.
Good man.
Tracking. No question. But I mean, yeah, there's no question. But also, I've been snowboarding since I've been 7. You know what I mean? And I'm a little spoiled. I'll be the first to admit it. But tracking. Yeah.
You got a new challenge ahead of you. That's why you want to conquer something new. Probably.
Yeah, totally. I do. I mean, I don't want to conquer anything in hunting, but I want just more of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want more adventures, and there's nothing like tracking deer in the Northwoods.
Yeah. Well, you have to keep in touch this fall. We might have a little early snow over our way.
All right.
We usually do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on up and check out a new area.
Yeah, I would love to. Yep. I'll drop you guys a couple good pins, or the area I'm hunting. I'm not going to say any more. All right? I'm not going to say any more.
That's all right. Hal will give it up on the next podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Whatever happened to... Didn't you have a giant buck on trail camera?
It was photoshopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a few.
I'd love to see that. I thought you were going to drop it on... Or show it somewhere. Or...
It did. I posted
what,
on comments. Hal posted the video, then I posted
the video.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, cool. Maybe I missed it. What the hell?
It is a monster, though.
It is, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's probably, overall, I would say that's the biggest buck I ever seen
Really?
in this state. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never seen a rack that big up there.
It's unreal.
Wow. And you think he's still living? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next year.
That's a picture of it right there.
Wow.
That was that big drop tine one. But yeah, that's a rare.
Wow.
So
that's a rare cat.
He's basically an 8-pointer, but his brow points are like a foot long, which is rare up our way.
Right.
And then I think the G2s are that long. And I think those beams are pushing 30 inches.
Right.
And it's got to be 2 feet inside, with a big handlebar drop tine on one side, and you can't see the other to know if there's another one.
Right.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. They're out there. That's the mystique of it. You see,
right.
You get on a track and you don't know what's on his head.
Right.
Yeah. I know I've tracked a bunch of them before that avoid any close things together. They mean even stuff that's not like something they can't push aside. A lot of times, them bucks, I think they just get tired of
they just ram through
pushing their horns through stuff. No,
they'll go around it.
Yeah, they'll go around it because there's so much stuff they'd have to push through. I don't think they like doing it anymore.
Right.
So they see it coming, and you'll see they make a swing around that stuff where most bucks would just go right through.
Right.
You always got to wonder what's going on with them.
I was on one of those last year where it was, I think it was literally the only time where I could actually recognize that this deer was intentionally going around some stuff. The does were going through, and he would loop around it, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind of
that one you shot walked around a few trees.
Yeah, he sure did.
How wide is that?
I don't know. I forget. I
measured
him like I
24.
tried my best to measure him at 150 maybe. Is that 150 inches? I think something like that.
Yeah.
I
should have
brought the rack up. I had the rack. It's I should have, because how to score.
Yeah.
Would have been cool to know.
You didn't have it mounted?
No, I'm gonna have it mounted.
Oh, yeah.
It's the dude's backed up.
Yeah. Well, it's not.
If you're listening out there, come on.
It's not a year yet.
Yeah.
I haven't got mine back yet either. So.
What did yours? Dude, yours was giant. Congratulations on that, by the way. That was another bruiser on your wall.
That was grossed out 145,
nice.
Right around there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, nice looking buck, nice and even,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I both of them. I mean, they're both around the same score. It sounds like, but they're completely different types of racks.
Mm-hmm.
Your buck is more, to me, typical of what you usually see in a big main rack, big, heavy, not real long tines and stuff. Those big long tines are not as common up in the big woods.
Yeah, he had a big frame, but he did have huge brow tines. My deer had huge brow tines, like maybe close to a foot. Wow. Maybe not that long, but
Yeah.
you got to exaggerate. Of course.
Not on that one, you don't. That one speaks for itself.
No, I think I might have shot myself in the foot. I don't think I'll ever. Who knows? I always strive for better, but I don't think I'll ever see a deer of that caliber again.
I don't think you really believe that, because if you did, you wouldn't go back out, right? So you're always, that's the name of the,
for sure,
the game.
It's always in the back of your mind. Those are the deer that you envision being out there, and they are out there.
Yep, there they are.
Yep. Yeah. He had a crazy. If I was truly tracking him, he would have been easy to track, because he had frigging half a claw on both of his hoofs. It was broke off, So I don't know if he lived majority of his life in a super rocky area or what. He was an old deer. The dude who did the taxidermist took his jaw, and I have it with the rack, with his no teeth. He estimated it to be at least 8 years old.
Well, if you and he was
been
big,
easy to stay with.
A big old deer, because when you shoot one that was, what was it, 240 something?
246.
So on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
that's
Day,
huge. That's really huge.
Yeah, totally.
You get one Thanksgiving week that big. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well,
YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah. When are you guys coming out? When's your video coming out, Hal? When are you guys going to release that?
well, we're talking around October.
Cool.
Beginning of October.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. Should be a good one.
Nice. Do you have it all edited up?
Oh, Will told me he's working on it. So
Damn it, Will. Come on, Will.
I think Will's in the middle of nowhere in No, he's going in a couple weeks.
No, he's not going away.
Oh, that trip didn't come together for them? They were talking about they were going to Canada, but that got canceled, so they were looking to put something together for.
Yeah, I haven't heard. Last time I talked to him, he wasn't sure, but they knew they were going to do some deer hunting, so I told him to see if he can get Donnie out here. But so yeah, he's supposed to be working on it.
All right.
Nice.
Cool. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, should be fun.
Us too.
Yeah. I just watching the trailer, there was a lot of stuff on there that I didn't even realize he was filming, because
Nice.
he was just filming the whole time,
Right.
So, yeah. He told me he wasn't sure how good when I shot him would be, because I was looking through the spruce limbs, I just peeked through there and shot through there, but he had the camera aimed down my gun barrel, so you get the effect of it anyway.
Yeah, totally.
But there was some other good stuff that's, you get to see him.
Yeah, as long as you get the story, right?
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to get the kill shot. You have a split-second opportunity. If you're super lucky,
Yeah. I know there's been a lot of times that a lot of ones I shot would have been, good to have on film, easy to get on film, and then when you got somebody with you don't get those chances.
Totally. But you can't wait for it either, right? Because you get usually one opportunity or maybe two opportunities if you're lucky a season. And
he waited for it once, right?
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah. Which time?
I don't know. There was a time when you were waiting for Chris to tell you the camera was on, right?
No, I did wait, and he told me, but then he didn't have the camera on anyway. Remember? That the one?
That's the one, yeah, and he didn't have it. He just told you to shoot it.
He told me to shoot, and the camera wasn't even on. He was more excited about it than I was, that buck standing there, not even knowing we were around at 35 yards,
Right.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, all right. This has been fun.
We really appreciate you coming up, Scotty, and taking the time to make the trip.
Thank you, boys, for having me on. I would rather, this is nothing more that I'd rather talk about than tracking. So thank you, guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And thank you guys for bringing it into light. This is, kind of rare. Everyone hunts in a different way. But tracking, isn't that popular, and I don't know why. But you boys are, you guys are bringing it into the light. So
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know, I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Sure
only so
is.
many people going to do it anyways, it takes a different type of person to want to do it, and put the effort in. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's not easy, right?
No.
That's not easy at all. You're going to be pushed. You're going to be challenged, and
But the reward's big.
like I said,
Yeah.
you might break down in tears.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's right.
So you're buying lunch today, right, Hal?
Yep.
All right.
Buying lunch, and I'm getting pretty hungry. I don't know about you guys.
I'm starving.
Yep. Me
So
hungry.
do the housekeeping there.
Yeah. Be sure to, like Scotty was pointing out earlier, promo code BWB on X Hunt and or on X Maps rather, and I get 20% discount. And check us out on YouTube and subscribe.
Don't forget Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, we're on all that stuff.
Right. Smash the follow button.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be putting out good content. And, you won't be disappointed. So
Yeah.
follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And ding the bell.
Ding the bell so you guys get the
Ding the bell.
notifications.
Ding
And
the
I'm
bell.
looking for a cameraman.
He's sitting right next to you.
Yeah, like
He
wants
just
to
said he
follow
like
me around.
he just said he likes to
Yeah,
film.
honestly, I would love to tag along. I just want to be in
there
the
you
woods,
go.
but I do want to kill one first.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try my hardest to get it done in week number 1, and then you go to camera guy.
All right. You folks heard it here first.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, good luck on the trail.